Open the curtains, lights on. Don't miss a moment of this experiment. Oh, the book is strange, like clockwork orange. Keep your eyes buttered till the end. Which you are going to be.
Library of Ruina. This game is a masterpiece. It is incredible. The art is fantastic. The music is just so good. The sound design is great. And the story is so incredible. Like, so good. All of it. It is so good. I can't get enough of this game, but I refuse to play it on stream. And the reason I don't want to play it on stream is because I don't want to have to read chat while I'm enjoying it, or worry about talking and being funny. I just want to get pulled into the story and enjoy it. That is why I'm making this video. I just wanted to share this incredible game with all of you people, since you won't ever see me streaming it. Library of Ruina is a sequel to a game called Lobotomy Corporation. However, do not let this deter you from playing this game. You do not need to play Lobotomy Corporation to play Library of Ruina. It is suggested, as you'll have more insight into the character's past, but not necessary, as this game tells you everything you need to know. But, before we get into the rest of the video, I invite you to the library. What I did to learn about the characters is I went to the Lobotomy Corporation wiki and I just read about the characters past there. I suggest you do the same, as it does deepen character interactions since you know what they're referencing or you know why they don't like something because of what happened in their past. Now I'm going to split this video into 4 parts: art, gameplay, music/sound design, and story. We are going to go over them in that order as well. So starting with art, the art style in this game is so unique and it just looks so good. And not only that, but the creativity in every drawing is so good too. Like the character design. Every character looks great and unique. Like, look at my boy Roland. He's so clean. And every character is like this, where they have some charm about them or style. There are characters that have body augments, so they look all cyberpunked out. There are characters that work for wealthy organizations, so they wear suits and they look sharp. There's also lunatics who just kill for fun, so you'll see dried blood on their clothes. And this game isn't afraid to use color either, even though it's a dark game. DC movies. There's some characters with some super vibrant colors on them. And there's also the library itself, which has gold in the background lighting everything up, and these golden pages flying all around the library. The card art is also very nice. Each card looks like a little panel from a comic strip showing what the card does. Like, if the card does blunt damage, then it may be a little comic strip about some dude punching someone. It's a nice little... They have nice little cards in this game. Nice card art. And then there's the librarian floors. Each one has a different vibe, look, and feel to them. They even have different music on each floor, which I'll go into later in the music section, but it's incredible, and it's so nice to look at. Each floor just feels so unique with the style it has, and it just embodies it, and it's just so incredible. Up next is gameplay. The gameplay in this game is incredibly fun. Like, it feels really cool. When you're hitting max rolls multiple times in a row, you feel like an anime protagonist. But before we talk more about this, I'm going to talk about how the gameplay actually works, so as to not confuse people who know nothing about Library of Ruina. So, round start. Both sides roll speed dice to see who is faster. The higher the roll, the faster your character is. If your character is the fastest, you'll be the first to attack in the order of attacks. You can also choose to intercept enemies with slower speed than you to stop them from attacking a different ally. You can do this to save them, or to just stop them from taking unnecessary damage. Now that the speed dice have been rolled, you can start playing cards. With cards, you can target enemies. This is where you can choose to clash with enemies, intercept them, or go for a one-sided attack. Each card uses a certain amount of light to use. Your base amount of light is 3, but it goes up as your emotion level goes up. We'll talk more about emotion levels later. Each card has a move on it, or multiple, with a certain damage type, and a certain amount of damage that says something like 2 to 7, which means you can roll anywhere from a 2 to a 7, Whatever number you roll will be the damage you deal. There are 3 damage types: slash, pierce, and blunt damage. Every character has certain resistances to these damage types. These types are as follows. Normal resistance means normal damage. Endured means half damage. Weak means 1.5 times damage. Fatal means double damage. And ineffective means it does a quarter damage. These resistances can be independent for your health and stagger resist. Your stagger resist is a second health bar that acts kind of like armor. It will go down with your health, but when it reaches 0, instead of dying, you become staggered. The staggered character cannot attack or defend, and has fatal resistance for all resistances. There are also status effects and keywords on cards. Some of them are straightforward, like restore 1 light next turn, but some of them are confusing, so if you play a card and don't understand what its status effect does, I suggest going to the wiki and reading what it does. But with most status effects, you can tell what they do just by playing them. Now back to emotion levels. Each character has an emotion level that can go up. Your emotion level will go up each time you win a clash or lose one, get a minimum roll or a max one, and when you defeat an enemy. Each of these things gives a certain amount of positive or negative emotion tokens. You need a certain amount of tokens to level up a character's emotion level. Leveling up a character's emotion level grants them 1 light slot and refills their light. Once the overall emotion level has been brought up by the librarians leveling up their emotion level, you can choose an abnormality page. Abnormality pages are either awakening pages or breakdown pages. The ratio of positive tokens to negative tokens will determine if you get a lot of awakening pages or a lot of breakdown pages. Awakening pages have no downsides and give good buffs. Breakdown pages can give much better buffs than awakening pages, but always have a downside. My personal favorite abnormality page is Fervent Beats because it takes one of your librarians and turns them into a god for a couple turns before they die. Now what actually happens when you play a card against an enemy? Well, you roll a dice to see how much damage you're going to do, or you roll a defensive dice to try and get a higher number than your opponent. This is called a clash. During a clash, whoever rolls the higher number will win it. If you roll higher with an offensive dice, you will hit your opponent. If you roll the same number as your opponent, you will clash with them, causing 0 damage to both of you. This applies to all card types, like attack, block, and evasion dice. With a block dice, if you roll a higher number than your opponent, you will not take any damage, and you will deal stagger damage to your opponent. If you roll higher with an evasion dice, you will keep dodging your attacker's attack, and keep the evasion dice. You can keep dodging until you roll a lower number than your opponent, or your opponent doesn't have any attacks left. If you play an evasion dice into a block dice, you will lose the evasion dice, even if you roll a higher number. Attacking an enemy who is attacking someone else allows you to hit them for free. This is called a one-sided attack. Since the combat in this game has a lot going on, I'm not going to cover all of it in this video, but those are some of the basics. I also want you to just experience it firsthand in your playthrough. If you guys really want it, I could make a video just talking about the gameplay and explaining everything, but there's a 95% chance that I don't do that, unless it is heavily requested. And I know that the combat seems complicated to the point where it might not be fun, but once you start playing, it really isn't complicated and it ends up just being incredibly fun. Next up on our list is music/sound design. If you have thought to yourself at all this video, man, this background music is fire, then boy do I have good news for you. Every song in this video is from Library of Ruina. The music in this game is very cool because not only is it just fire, it also changes the vibe and feel of the music based on what floor you're on, your current emotion level in combat, or what's happening in a cutscene. I'm gonna start by showing you the music from some of the floors. So that was a little sampler for some of the soundtrack from this game. I think it's incredible, but that might just be because I'm a sucker for piano and I rarely see pianos being used in modern music. but it really is just incredible, and each floor's music, I feel, fits it incredibly well. I especially like the floor of art because it just looks really good, and then it has a soundtrack that I feel just embodies what the floor looks like. Not to mention the bass on that floor is just so funky. The rest of the game also has some incredible music. Like when you open the game and get in, just sitting in the main menu is so funky. And then there's also the cutscenes, which just play the best music for what you're seeing. Like if it's a sad story being told, you hear the sadness in the music. It's just an all-around great soundtrack. There isn't much to say about the sound design in this game. It's really good, and it works really well. When you start around and hear that crisp snapping sound, you know it's showtime. And when you clash in a fight and hear that sword clashing sound, it makes the battle feel really alive. I feel sound can make or break a game, and this game makes it, with its incredible soundtrack and sound design. For our final piece, we will talk about the story. The story in this game is very cool. It's incredibly interesting, and when you play it, you find yourself being drawn to this world. And as you slowly learn about it, you find out each time that it can get worse. Library of Ruina all starts when Roland wants to go buy a sandwich, and then finds himself in the library. This is where he starts working for Angela, the owner of the library. He becomes her assistant and helps her invite people to the library. Your job is to get books from everyone to fill the library with the knowledge of the world. You get them by inviting people. The rules of the invitations are simple. If you win, you get the books listed on the invitation. If you lose, you die and become a book. That is basically the most gruesome way I can think about getting a book, and it fits this game perfectly. In this world, there are terrible horrors like abnormalities that wreak havoc on the cities, killing hundreds. And the people also cause hundreds of deaths. They kill each other because there are gangs everywhere, or they kill each other to make human meat pies. This world is messed up, and you watch it all unfold from within the library. As you continue to learn about this world, you also learn about the characters. The characters in this game have very interesting backstories, and you get to learn all about them. This is where having some knowledge of Lobotomy Corporation comes in handy, because then you already know some of their past, so you can understand the references they are making. There are also the characters that you invite to the library, which are all very interesting people that each teach you more about this world. Overall, this game has an incredibly dark and captivating story that I highly recommend you check out, as I have been enjoying it greatly. My name's LandaZX, and I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.